Super Mario Bros. 3. Some people still even refer to it as the greatest video game ever made. I don't think I'm one of those people, but I could see why they might think that. Yes, Nintendo certainly upped the ante when they made the fourth game in their Mario franchise. Yes, you heard me right, I did say that this is the fourth game made in the Mario franchise. At least for the NES or Famicom, that is. NES being American version, Famicom being Japanese. But the specifics of that are really a topic for another time. But some traditions were already broken when this game came out, among them being the number of power-ups available. You can see a few demonstrated right there. So there's a lot more variety present as far as power-ups go, and also the fact that you don't have a static number of levels per each world, so it's quite variable. Overall, this can make for a, well, if you play your cards right, much longer, but also much more captivating and engaging game. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. But I did tease a possible format change in my last video. And here's what it's going to be. So my previous videos were more or less completionists. So I was showing just about every level you could get through. And this time, we're going to be looking at the opposite. What is the minimum number of levels that it takes to get through Super Mario Bros. 3? And by the time you're done watching this video, you'll say, hey, you weren't quite successful. And yes, like any run with Super Mario Bros. 3, there are extenuating circumstances that I run into. But I'll just have to justify that once again as myself just being a humble, average video gamer. Of course, that's not good enough, is it? Because on this channel, so far, I've also been looking at ROM hacks. So what's the theme of the ROM hack of Mario 3 we're going to be looking at today? Well, interestingly, this one was likely inspired by the next game in the series, Super Mario World, which was the first Mario game that came out for the Super Nintendo. In Mario World, you could unlock a very hidden area of the game called the Special Zone. Now this was 8 additional levels that I personally used to always call the Surfer levels because of the names they gave them. They were in order: Gnarly, Tubular, Way Cool, Awesome, Groovy, Mondo, Outrageous, and Funky. If you manage to complete all 8 of these, and keep in mind, these 8 are the hardest in the game, at least most of them greatly outclass the difficulty of the rest of the game, then there will be an aesthetic change for the rest of the game. It will change the theme of all the levels in the overworld from spring to autumn. And that is the theme of the ROM hack that we're going to be looking at today. The main disadvantage, however, is that because I'm going for a minimalist approach, the fewest levels, not much has changed by the time you get to the last levels of the game, which we're going to warp to fairly quickly. And therefore, you won't see a lot of what this ROM hack has to offer, so I encourage you to check it out for yourself. Link is found in the usual location. Now I'm going to replay the intro to this hack because I want to point a couple things out. You see the curtain go up, and that is important because it was confirmed just a few years ago, in fact, that Mario 3 is in fact intended to be viewed as a play or stage show. An interesting tidbit here: as the Koopa shell is passed around, you're going to see something unusual in that Mario went from a second level power-up, specifically Raccoon Mario, all the way back to simply Mario, not Super Mario in between like when you actually play the game. Why does this happen? Because they didn't modify the opening cutscene there from the original Japanese version, except for the lettering, of course. And in the original Japanese game, it was a little bit harder because just like the previous games, that is Mario 1 and Japanese Mario 2, again, a story for another time, you would, in fact, from any hit you take, go back down to small Mario, no matter how powered up you were. But when the game was ported to America, it was decided to make it a tad bit easier. So you only go down 1 power-up level if you take a hit, and that's what you'll be seeing when we go through this today. Speaking of which, let's get started. Right away as we start, you can see there's been quite a few changes made from the last game. One of them being you actually have an overworld in which you select which level you go to. Now, some follow a linear path, and others you can pick and choose where you're going. It really just depends on what kind of game you want to play, and also probably your skill level. But as I said, this is going to be a minimalist run, so we're only going to go to levels that are absolutely necessary to get through from start to finish. Naturally, we'll be starting with World 1-1 because we have no alternative yet, but here we'll be introduced to another new mechanic of the game. Alright, admittedly that wasn't the best demonstration of the new mechanics, so I'll go ahead and explain. You see, in the previous games in this franchise, anytime you hit an item box containing a mushroom, it would always immediately flow to the right. But in Mario 3, they can go to the right or the left, depending on where you hit the box. It's always going to go to the opposite side that you hit on the box. So if you hit it on the left, like I did here, the mushroom will go to the right. Now you might be thinking, okay, wise guy, what if you hit the box in the middle? Well, I think item boxes in this game are exactly 8 pixels across left to right, which means there is no true middle, so it is impossible to hit an item box in the middle. Therefore, mushrooms will always flow opposite to the direction that you hit. And here we introduce our new power-up, the Raccoon Leaf, which gives you ears and a tail. If you can clear a path and run holding B, you can charge up your P meter sign at the bottom. And tapping A while it's built up, you can fly. Let's go ahead and do that again because there is a secret in the upper right hand corner of this map. Collect some coins along the way, however. There we go, a hidden pipe, and looky there, honoring which game it is, number 3. So let's come out of the pipe and find ourselves finding another new mechanic, the P-switch. By the way, you can use B to swing your tail, and that can get item boxes on the ground as well. So no flag pull to end the levels. Instead, you hit a card. And you can build up 3 of them at a time, and you can earn some lives that way. So now it's on to 1-2. There is a secret here to earn infinite lives, or 99 as it would be. We're going to fly up to the top here and find this hidden 1-up box. If somehow you didn't build that up or lost your Raccoon Leaf, you can also hit that hidden P-switch. Note that it will only work if you still left the coins behind, because that's what P-switches do. It turns coins into boxes and boxes into coins. Temporarily, of course, that's why you hear the timer music. So we hit the hidden pipe, we'll come out. Now we can collect them. And let's see what more of the level... Oh! Well, that wasn't very careful playing, was it? But there's another Raccoon Leaf right there. Holding down will slide down any steep hill like that. And this third note block will contain a Starman. Now we're invincible, so let's just jet through the rest of the level and get another one. If you're running at full blast and run at the right angle, you will be guaranteed a star. 3 stars will give you 5 extra lives. Now you'll see that we have our first fork in the path. We actually have 4 different things we could try to go to. We can go to 1-3, 1-4, that's Spade, which is a bonus level, but that can be skipped entirely. Levels, you have to actually beat them before you can walk beyond them. Or we can go to the Fortress in about the middle of the map. Now if we're going for Minimalist, we're going to have to go to 1-3 next, even though we could technically skip it. Now, a lot of 1-3 itself can be skipped, so pay attention here because it gives you a nifty little shortcut and bonus area. Come up here, knock that Koopa throughout the structure, and there's a few secrets within it itself, like a 10 coin block, and another power-up if you need it, and a pink hidden note block. Just jump there, and you'll head on up to your first coin heaven. There aren't as many of these in this game as there were in Mario 1 or 2 Japanese. After the second bank of coins, make sure you fly up if you have your Raccoon Leaf still, because there's some additional coins high in the sky. This coin heaven does reappear in 1-5, but we're not going to do that. So if you descend slowly, you can get that Paragoomba, and now the secret that probably most players know. Squat on the white block. Every white block in the game can do this, but this is, as far as I know, the only one that has a secret. As soon as you drop through it, dash like mad behind the scenery. Because remember, this is a play, right? Because we're going to need this. This is our first warp whistle. There are 3 in the game, but we're only going to collect 2 of them. Next, if we're doing Minimalist, we need to go to the fortress, skip everything else in between. Watch out for the potaboos there. Don't bother with that power-up, because it's just a fire flower, and that won't be much help to us. And watch out for those... Okay, I don't know what they're called, but they hurt you, and only a Tanuki suit can get rid of them, and we don't have one of those, and we're not going to get one in this run either. If you need the raccoon leaf, there's one in that box, but you need to fly up and over, holding right. As soon as you hit that wall, in the top right there's a door, so hit up, and already there's our second warp whistle. Back on the map, hit B to access your items, and then hit A to select the warp whistle, which will quickly whisk you to, well, if you look at the bottom of the screen, it says we're in World 9. Now, World 9 in other Mario games is usually akin to what I was saying about that special zone in Mario World. It usually contains extra levels that are more difficult, but it's strictly a warp zone in this game, and as you can see, you can't jump from one path to another unless you know how to do it. It all depends on where you warp from in the first place. So, let me tell you that World 9 itself has an additional secret. If you warp from it, you will jet yourself straight to World 8. And here we are at the final world of the game already. As we arrive here in Darkland, as it is sometimes referred to as, you'll notice there aren't even any numbered levels. Not yet, anyway. Now, there are a couple coming up, but World 8 actually has the fewest out of any world in the game. Only 2 are coming up. At this point, we have no choice but to go to the first level, which is going to be tanks. The main obstacles you're going to encounter here are obviously tanks, but there are also cannonballs being fired. Sometimes the launchers launch bob-ombs, like you see right there, so keep your distance when they explode. And also, we get a new enemy known as Rocky Wrench. Now, Rocky Wrench is pretty much what he sounds like. He's going to hurl some wrenches at you, and when he pops up like that. Now, in other levels, Rocky will regenerate, but this is not one of those levels. So you can kick bob-ombs away if they're getting ready to explode when they stand still. So, a lot of jumping, dodging. You can, of course, jump on cannonballs, and you can jump on Rocky Wrench before he hurls the wrench. If you're lucky enough to still have your raccoon tail, then you can do that. And right here is the only power-up in the whole level. Good luck collecting it if you're only Super Mario. And watch out coming up here, because this low tank signifies that the first Mega Cannonball, right there, is coming past. You can actually jump on that one too, but I always find the timing to be too tricky. Here's the end of our first World 8 level, and this one is not considered a fortress, so all we've got to deal with is a boomerang brother. Collect your star, and let's move on. Now as we return to the world map, you'll notice that the path divides. There is a pipe up above, but that one that's open is going to get us nowhere fast, so we have no choice but to go to the ship's level. Now this one gets a little more challenging. As you're about to notice, Rocky Wrenches regenerate, so the moment that you get rid of him, he'll just respawn, and I don't advise going after that power booster. It's a little tricky with those cannons in the way. There are actually 2 ways to clear out this level. You can do what I'm doing, and maybe do it a little better so that you don't lose your raccoon tail, but you can actually swim in the water. And no, it looks like lava, but it must be water, because otherwise wouldn't these wooden ships be melting by now? Now that is a viable option to swim under all of these ships. Interesting point though, in the original Japanese Famicom game, it wouldn't work because at the end of the level, jumping back onto the ship would be impossible from the water, but in the North American release that I'm playing, they did remove one section of the ship, and you were able to do it. Now, I might save going through that for a future video. Stay tuned for that. But for right now, I'm going to do it the more conventional way, even if it is harder. Fortunately, I only took the one hit there, so let's go down the tube. And looky there. This level is considered a fortress, so we do fight Boom Boom. Follow that pattern, make sure not to be near him when his spikes go up after every hit. Grab the level end item, and now, with the fortress complete, the barrier is open. Let's move on and see what else Darkland has to offer. Now here on this next screen, we arrive at the hand trap levels. I know it looks like there's 5 of them in the way, but there are only 3 because Mario skips over tiles 2 and 4 immediately. Now remember, in this approach for this video, we're looking at a minimalist, minimum number of levels, and this is where if you're truly going for the fewest possible, you can get tripped up. Because what the tanks and the battleships that we previously did, as soon as you walked onto them, then you immediately entered the level. There was no selection like numbered levels or anything. These ones actually have chance factored in. Every time you move to one of these hand trap levels, there's a 50% chance you get pulled in. You can manually enter them with A, but if you're doing the math, that means you've only got a 1/8 chance of being able to skip all 3 of these. So let's see how we do. And I only got sucked into 1, so not bad. So we just got to get through this hand trap, which I believe is, yep, flying Cheep Cheeps over lava. Of course, because where else would they be? What, water? No, perish the thought. You can fly over that if you have the raccoon leaf, but remember I lost that earlier. So we get to the end, and one nice thing about the hand trap levels is they all actually reward you with a raccoon leaf for your inventory. That might come in handy later, but next is a non-skippable level, and that is the ships. The raccoon leaf actually would have been a good choice here for what is about to become obvious reasons, but let's be daring. I got the fire flower. Let's see how it goes. Rocky wrenches do not regenerate on this level, and you've got to keep moving anyway, so let's hope for the best. Instead of bullet bills, you see there's fire coming out of all of their usual homes. I think that's about the halfway point. And still got my fire flower. Not bad. Well, I spoke too soon. And so much for Super Mario. This level is in fact a fortress, so I'm going to have to face Boom Boom, so I'm going to have to make sure I get my 3-time countdown, and fortunately here we are at the end. So, 1, oh, flying Boom Boom, 2, didn't let him fly, 3, awesome. Another barrier opens its way, but we were never going to take that path anyway. And now that that's complete, we'll go to why some people call this place Spotlight World. Gonna need your raccoon leaf to do a couple little tricks here. Start this level off by filling up your P meter and fly all the way at the top. You'll have to go back and forth maybe a couple times, activate that P switch. Alright, got myself an extra life, not even to double digits yet, but I'll take it. As soon as you're done there, charge up again. You want to jump off to fly at the right at that bamboo block, at least that's what I call it. Okay, we want to go all the way up because this is going to be a tricky level, but there is a way to skip about half of it. Giant item block, which contains 3 extra lives. Now I'm to double digits. Excellent. Let's run exit and see where the rest of the level takes us. This part always gives me trouble. Oh, got past that. Okay. Again, I speak too soon. Gotta quit cursing myself like that. Oh, even worse. Fortunately, there's not much more, so we'll hop on this note block. There's no piranha plant in that pipe, but the other one does. Screen is scrolling to the end. Ah, yes. Triple star. So, another 5 extra lives goes into my life bank. Now, if I wasn't going for the minimalist approach, now would be a good time to go back to the hand traps because there's 2 left and get another raccoon leaf. But I'm just going to have to wing it here as Small Mario. At the beginning of 8-2, dive into this quicksand. There's a path to the left and there's a path to the right. And the path to the left contains a power booster. Since I'm small, all I'll be able to do is get a mushroom to become Super Mario, but that's better than nothing at this point. Taking the path on the right back there would have just given you some coins. Pop out, and yes, you're flanked by piranha plants on both sides, so avoid them. And there's not much more to the level. Good thing we skipped most of it. Have to be careful here, though. There's a Koopa Paratroopa and a jumping failure. Well, that's not ideal circumstances, and I don't have anything else other than the star, which I want to save, so let's try that again. Alright, that went quite a bit better. There's no other numbered levels in the game, so it doesn't matter what card you get here. Normally I'd try for a star by running into it, but next up is 8 Fortress, which is a maze. Wish I had the raccoon leaf, but maybe I'll have an opportunity to pick one up. Skip that door. Watch out for those, whatever those things are that rotate. Probably inspired by the fireball chains from the original Mario game. This is the door we want. Of course, you gotta break some blocks. And we're gonna skip a few others. Watch out, there's a thwomp. And now, there we go. Back to a raccoon leaf, which is gonna come very handy. We gotta skip that door. If you have the leaf, you want to break these blocks, and you'll see why in a second, because there is a Starman here. The next item box actually will also give you a Starman, but only if you actually have the Starman at the moment, but you got to duck to get it, and we're almost to the end. So much for that maze, huh? As long as you know where you're going. Lost the Starman, so won't be able to kill that thwomp, but that's okay. Pop the P, and skip that new door, go to that one on the right. Once more we have to face Boom Boom, and this time he's on a conveyor belt. Make sure you're ducking at the start of the time stop, the P switch turning off. Okay, timing will be the same, but also watch out for your auto-scrolling because of that conveyor belt. Excellent. Now that we're done here, we're going to go right, up, and then left. Path to the right just takes you backwards. No point there. We've only got 2 levels left in this game. Tanks number 2. This one, as you may have noticed, did have a barrier behind it, so this one will be a fortress. It will be our last Boom Boom fight of the game. As you can see, this is not identical to the first Tanks level. There's even some overhead sections now to watch out for, so be careful there. And maybe I should have heeded my own words. There went Rocky Wrench hitting me. And so we open up the final pathway, the Castle of Koopa. Use a Starman if you have it. And that's why. Lasers at the very start. Stand here, that door would have just made you backtrack. Watch out for this donut fall, jump at the end there. Fire operates on the same principle as ghosts. They will chase you if you're not facing them. Stand next to the center of these rotating thingies and hidden one up. That'll come in handy. So if you're having trouble with the castle and you can at least make it to this point every time, you can always just keep your life count constant. This will be a tricky section between donut falls, lava underneath, and potaboos. But, oh, how nice. Time for a raccoon leaf. So I'm going to fly up here. There are 2 paths to Bowser, and their fights will differ slightly. One, you have a little bit more opportunity to defeat him, and here we see Bowser has been alerted to our presence and has started slinging fire at us. Okay, and speaking of Bowser, here he is. So you'll notice that there are solid blocks on the outside and breakable brick in the center. So Bowser's going to follow a very predictable pattern. He'll shoot fire at you twice, then he'll jump to wherever you're at in an attempt to crush you. What you have to do is bait him 3 times to break the brick beneath you. There is, however, one tactic you can use that makes this fight substantially easier. When Bowser's getting ready to land, duck. Look at that! Bowser's sprite doesn't have any hitboxes on the bottom half of his body. Now you need to stay around his center so that the fire will avoid you, which is what you overall want. And he is going to shift slightly. He won't land in the same place twice. But if you just stay ducking, if you're super or raccoon or fire, you'll be fine. Now, he's reached the end. I guess I let go too soon there. But make sure you do jump out of the way when he is coming down for the last time. And that, my friends, is Super Mario 3. As few levels... Okay, I guess I could have missed one more. And I also died once, so you know what they call me. Come through the door, you'll be Super Mario no matter what, and we see the end of the game. Even under duress, what a joker, that princess. Alright, looks like it's time for the curtain call on this play that was Mario 3. An interesting fact, there were actually 2 different versions of this game put out, and they renamed the levels in the successor. Now, World 1 was always called Grassland. World 2 was renamed to Desert Land. World 3, Waterland. World 4, Giant Land. Not sure why they got less imaginative as time went on, but at any rate. World 5 was renamed Skyland. Go figure. World 6, they just dropped the D. It was just Iceland. World 7, Pipeland, and we skipped all of those. Until finally, World 8, known in this version as Castle of Koopa, but renamed Darkland when the game was re-released. Well, that was a short ride. You know, a little practice, and you could do it too, I'm sure. And one more thing I want to point out. When you win the game and you restart, as long as you don't turn off your system, your inventory is filled with P-Wings, and these give you a full charge meter at all times when you enter a level. But it only lasts for 1 level, and if you take a hit, you will lose it for the rest of that level. There are legitimate ways of getting those in the game, and I might explore that in the future for you. Well, thank you all once again for joining me here on